Hey guys, how you doing today? I have just bought a 2015 Yamaha WR250R. Been looking forward to getting this bike for a while now. I paid $6,000. Now that's after fees, but before taxes and registration. So all in all, to get the bike with the taxes, registration, title fee was $6,470. So it's still less than retail, which is not bad. It's an expensive bike, but it's a good one. So I'm looking forward to making some moto vlogs, riding it around, and yeah, stay tuned. I'm gonna do a few things to it now, like replace this big honking thing here with the slim one, and put the handguards on it with the flashers. And I still have to take it to get it inspected. But other than that, yeah, it's ready to go.
Gotta warm up.
Okay. What do you think, Chief?
That's great.
Excellent.
Very smooth.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Got it's a clock.
Yeah, you got the clock.
Got an odometer.
Nice.
Somehow 0.6 mile.
Yeah. 0.6, boy.
Yeah. I don't know how to use this yet.
You.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
I like it.
Alright guys, so I've done some of the modifications. I've done 4 of them actually. First one you can see is the handguards. These are the Chirby's handguards. They're the Rally Pro X Strong handguards. I gotta say I like them. They're pretty strong. They're very beefy. They went in without much trouble at all, really. The left-hand one was extremely simple to get in. You don't even have to cut that whole thing off right there. You just cut a little hole and it will go right in. This tightens up. There's an expanding nut in there. And then this goes on, that clamps to that. They fit fine, plenty of clearance right there, no problem. Over here it's a little more difficult. You got to take the whole thing off right there, the whole end of the grip, and you've got to cut the throttle so that when you spin this, it doesn't stick. It's not too hard to do. I used the Dremel. I used the sander just to sand the throttle piece, and it just clears it. I don't know if you can see that, but there is less than a millimeter in there, and it works. I mean, it clears it, but just barely. So that's good. You don't have to grind down your lever. And yeah, same thing. It goes on without, you really don't even have to adjust any of this. It just fits perfectly fine. I decided to go with these instead of the Zeta flashers because I bought the flashers and I had them for about a week, and I was staring at them, and man, the indicators, they're just too small. I mean, you can't, especially when the sunlight is shining on them, I mean, you can't even distinguish anything. So I just returned them because they're not, in my opinion, they're not too safe. But then again, I mean, some states don't even require indicators, so it's up to you, really. I just thought it'd be safer to just keep the original ones. I don't like them. I really don't like the way they look, but they're big and they're noticeable, so I just figured I'd keep them. And then over here, so I went with a fender eliminator kit. I bought the DRC Edge and the 602 flashers, and I installed it, and the same thing with those. They were just too small. I mean, you could notice it, but you know, if an elderly person is behind you, they're really gonna have a hard time seeing them. So what I did was I kept the DRC brake light, and I bought a bracket that's made by Yoshimura for their fender eliminator, and used the bracket because it holds the turn signals. And then I kept the license plate from the DRC, and it seems to work okay. It wasn't a perfect fit. I actually had to grind it down a bit with the Dremel. It wasn't too much work, but it does fit. And this way you can keep the original blinkers, or you could just buy the Yoshimura kit. Now I've heard the brake light isn't quite as good. I'm not so sure about that. That's up to you, but if you want to keep the original blinkers, that's one way to do it. It's not the best, but it works. I went with the Flatland Racing radiator guard. It's pretty good. I mean, just want to protect the radiator just in case a branch hits it or something. $50, I mean, whatever, I just figured I'd buy it. And then I went with the Evotech skid plate. I didn't like the Flatland Racing one because of the noise that people complain about. I did not want to increase the amount of noise coming from the bike. It's already real quiet as it is, and I wanted to keep it that way. So this is made by a company in England, I think, and it was maybe $70, so it's cheaper. It doesn't cover the whole frame, and it doesn't cover the case over here, but these plastic ones, they're not great. They're flimsy, but I don't know. I'm just gonna see how it works out. I like the fact that this thing makes no noise, and I tested it, and you can't even tell that there's a skid plate on there. And it's got an oil drain bolt too, which is nice. So yeah, so that's what I did to it so far. There's not too much else I want to do right now. The only other thing I want to do right now is get a fender bag for right here, just a small one. I was looking at the Kriega US5, and that seems like a pretty good option. I don't want to do any engine modifications, exhaust modifications. I want to leave that as it is. I don't want to mess with that stuff really. the bike is good enough as it is. I mean, I'm about to break it in right now. I rode it up and down my street. Feels good. Very, very smooth riding. Just a really well-made bike. But I want to do the MotoMan break-in. Now, I'm not going to follow it exactly. I mean, mainly because he doesn't give exact instructions on what to do. But the basic idea is to load and unload the engine. And that way, the piston rings expand out and they hug the cylinder wall. And that's what you want so that there's no blow-by. You don't want any of the combustion gas to get in the crankcase. And you don't want any oil from the crankcase to get up in the combustion chamber. So, in order to accomplish that, if you accelerate and decelerate quickly and shift through the gears, then the force from the gasoline will expand out that ring. And that's what you want in order to ensure maximum life for your engine and good horsepower and everything else. Now, there's a lot of controversy about it. To be honest, I don't even know if it's really going to make much of a difference. But I figured it can't hurt. I mean, I think the main thing is when you get a new bike, you really don't want to lug the engine. And you don't want to hold it at a high RPM either. You want to move the throttle and you want to shift through the gears. You don't want to just stay in one spot. And I think the best way to do that is for the first 20 or 30 miles, come out to an open road area. This is the best I could come up with. This is in Maine. So you can accelerate and decelerate and not worry about any cars behind you or anything like that. So I'm going to do that now. We're going to see how that works out. And then I'm going to change the oil. I don't know if I'm going to do 20 miles, maybe 30 miles. But I do want to change the oil and the oil filter after doing this. And then I'll change it at 600, I think. I'm not too sure about it, but that's probably what I'm going to do. So yeah, let's see how it goes. Alright, so 32 miles on the Odo. in total. And the engine's still pretty hot. Time to change the oil.